Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Nanya Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So today there is a video that I saw and I have a lot to say, but first of all I am gonna make it brief, so we'll get into the video. Number one is that I do not like the fact that what the media sold to us, sold to African Americans about Black Africans, and what the media also sold to Africans about African Americans, that we are still having that mindset. I think we have grown and we should read by ourselves. We should make our research about one another to understand one another, because I see a lot of people carrying the same grudge and still walking around in 2024. Man, we can do better. And now let me say this. There are so many things that, you can't say that somebody is rude and you are trying to correct the person while you are also rude. There is no difference. You are also coming out as a rude person, right? I think we can really do better. The world know, and pop color people also know how strong we are being united. So all they are doing is trying a way to divide us. That was why they actually started the lies about African Americans being hoodra, African Americans being savages and all that. But then not until I started making research to find out who the real savages are. See, we can do better and let go some certain things and come together and stick stick together. You know what? Let's get into this video.
My African friend explained to me that a lot of Africans don't like African Americans, and that's simply a difference in culture. So let me explain how I discovered this. My friend and me were sitting down at an IHOP at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I invited him out. He said, "Thank you. I appreciate you. You are very kind." I said, "No problem, bro. I appreciate you." He said, "So you are from Africa. Why you don't have the accent?" I said, "Well, I've been here long enough to where I kind of adapted a Midwestern accent, and I kind of lost the African accent." Okay, I understand, okay. So, we were talking, and he said, look at those hood rats over there. And I said, the hood rats? And there's a bunch of black people just being loud and rowdy. And I said, well, they're not really hood, it's just they're us, they're black people like us. And he said, you know how it is. Sadly, I knew exactly what he was talking about. You see, he then began to explain to me, just in general, what I had thought and known for quite some time. He said, Africans do not know African Americans at all. They do not like them. Let me watch this. He said, hello, brothers. He signaled the hood rats that he calls them over there. He said, what's up, y'all? Cracking. Then he said, do you know who the African president is? And he says, nah, I have no idea. I don't know, Shabuki, like. And he there's a clicking noise, oh, that bunch of and he was like, yeah, thank you, brother. You all right? He said, yeah, I know my African history. I'm from the motherland. Peace up, word up. He says, word up. See, they are idiots. I'm like, oh, yeah. He starts explaining to me about how they don't know African history. They only know African American history. That's all they know. It's a difference. He said American Africans are not good. And I'm like, what do you mean not good? He said they're not us. They're not cultured like us. They're not us. And then I asked, I said, why some Africans come over here to want to be American? Well, they get American money sent over to their family. Asians do this too. There's a bunch of Asians in Africa for some reason. And there are there's a little subsection of Asian people, like Chinese people in Africa, because there's no population laws. It's a whole thing. He was explaining all this lore to me. I didn't know anything about this. I was confused. I was like, are you sure this is real? And he said, as far as I know, this is real. This is what I know. I go by what I know. That is what I am. Then he started talking homophobic and all this other stuff. And he said, well, think about it. Most older black people here even are homophobic. You know, when they say, is he this? And I said, okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. But, the newer generation is coming out and changing that. He says, no, newer generation African Americans, a majority are homophobic. Same with Caucasus people. Caucasus people. They are also homophobic. And I said, okay, all right, okay, fair. And I was just learning how his perception was, and it got me thinking, why is it that way? Why don't Africans like African Americans? Can someone explain that to me? Why is that? A lot of Africans don't like African Americans, and that's simply a difference in culture. So let me explain how.
It's true. When I came to America, all my friends or from other countries, including Africa. I have lots of friends from Ivory Coast, Mali, Somalia, even Sudan, and they really did not like black Americans. Ivory Coast guy, he hated him because his son was at a party and one of his black American friends gave him the bag to hold for just a second, and then police showed up and arrested him for possession of marijuana, even though he didn't have nothing to do with it. So his son was not be able to become American citizen because of criminal records now. And he was extremely pissed. I worked at Sam's Club with him, and he did not want to work with any black Americans. He called them lazy. He was insulting pretty much. The other one from Somalia, I think, he said that his friends, black American friends, robbed him, and he hated them too. So pretty much everybody at our table, what was from other country, was like, what to do? Even though that they told me that stuff, I still have black American friends, and they are hated here because they are conservatives. And yeah, it's true. African American, real African, and real African American people who became American from Africa, they do not like black Americans. And it's not because they are black, they don't like it because of the culture of no honor. And that's pretty much it. Have a good day.
My African friend explained to me that a lot of Africans don't like African Americans.
I'm African, and I think I can take this one. So I'm from South Africa, and I feel like I'm well informed about things that are going on around the world, and also I've mingled with a lot of Africans from outside of South Africa, be it from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Ghana, and a lot of other countries. So I think I'll take this one. I don't think Africans don't like African Americans. I don't think that's the case. I think the case is that African Americans and how they see themselves within the whole image of who an African person is based more on American ignorance. And it's not your fault. I don't think it's their fault. But let me explain a couple of things, right? A typical person that you can choose anywhere in the world, in the street, will know more about the world than a typical American, even though that typical American has access to this information online. Because Americans have an inward look. They feel like they're the best and everything outside their country doesn't matter anymore. For example, most of the sports that they play, they say they're world champions, even though they are the only ones who participate in that sport. There was a video that was trending not so long ago where people were being asked in the street, what show do they think brings the most views? Like it's watched by the most people. They said the Super Bowl. It's not even in the top 5. It's not even in the top 5, and they were so shocked and they didn't understand it. So I don't think it's because Africans hate African Americans. It's because the African Americans, they have a sense of, they're kind of like embroiled in the whole ignorance that comes with many American people. They're not well traveled. They don't understand the culture. The other video that I just saw today, someone was shocked that in Africa we don't celebrate Kwanzaa. We don't even know what Kwanzaa is. Yes, we know the word, but as a holiday, no, we don't know what that is. So it kind of like gives you this image that they don't know much about the rest of the other Africans who are outside of North America. I'm talking about Africans who are maybe in South America, Africans who are in Europe, Africans who are anywhere else in the world. They only know mostly about African Americans who are like Africans who are African Americans. That's what I want to say. So when you are an African person and you're not African American and you see them trying to represent what Africans are, and it's not correct, but it's coming with that a taste of American ignorance, and it kind of like, you're like, no, brother, that's not what we are. We are Africans, and you're not representing us well, or you're not representing us right. And it's probably starting to become a bit better now, because a lot of Americans or African Americans are traveling outside of America. They're going to Europe and meeting other Africans who come from elsewhere. They're going to Africa and realizing that Africa is not this thing that they've been told, and they are not really the center of Africans or what it means to be an African. Like when you say African, we don't start by saying, oh, there's American Africans and then everyone else. No, we are Africans. There's many of us here. We are less diluted than African Americans who are in America, who most of them got their culture robbed, they got their surnames robbed, they got a lot of things robbed from them, in which the new version of them that they had to create out of nothing is definitely different from the culture that Africa is. The one thing that Africans have is respect. It doesn't matter from where, it doesn't matter where you look. Respect is based on, I mean, Africans have that as interwoven in our own upbringing, in everything that we do. And we don't have that mostly in the modern African American culture. So there's a lot of differences which come up and we're like, no, that's not us. Like fabric wise, we're not made of that material. So I think with time, when African American become more exposed to a lot of people who are coming from Africa, a lot of voices, a lot of people online on social media, they are kind of like starting to reflect, to realize, oh, okay, yeah, we are different from here and here, and that's why maybe we might not always intermingle well. I don't think it's hate. I feel like hate is a strong word. It's just that it's like, yeah, we're not the same, we're not made out of the same fabric, which is understandable because of a lot of things that were stolen from African Americans when they got picked from Africa and got introduced in a whole environment, and they had to establish their own culture and their own everything. So that difference makes each side want to stand for itself. You know, the Africans who are in Africa are like, we are like this. And the black Americans are like, oh, you don't like us because we're not like you. But you like, the fact that we're not alike doesn't mean that we don't like each other. It just means that we're different. And that difference can easily be disintegrated if a lot of Americans first and a lot of African Americans were exposed to Africa, were exposed to what a person who's coming from Africa is like. And you see it when you meet in the streets. Like, for example, I live in the United Kingdom. I do meet a lot of other Africans from Africa and also Africans from the United States. And there's differences. You can see from, first of all, the way you represent yourself, from the way you talk to people, a lot of all these small details. But after a while, you realize that at the end of the day, you are still all Africans, and you can put your differences aside, in which that's what I feel like should happen, is that both people should just travel, like just come to Africa, see how it's like, meet other Africans in Europe, meet other Africans outside of America, because America is very self-centered, not just on the black American part, but in a lot of other parts. And it's a fact. It's changing now because of TikTok, because of other social media, because they're starting to see that things are different and things exist outside. But as long as that still remains, that thing of you guys are just about you, your country, you're the best, whereas in reality you are not, then it will definitely have that in a sense to say, oh, okay, you know, there's that taste of ignorance about anything that's going on outside of your country. And also, then as an African, I'm like, you don't represent me because you don't even know me. You understand what I mean? But when I see a lot of people traveling to Africa, and then you start to hear the stories, you realize that there is a lot that was taken away from them, in which they didn't even know that they didn't have. And when they start to associate it with it, they realize that, you know, we're not that different after all. So I don't know if I covered it all, but that's my take on the issue.
So this is all I got from this video, and I don't know, some people can, while trying to explain something to you and trying to say you do not have respect, they also come out very rude. You are pointing somebody and saying you do not have respect, while you are also sounding very rude to the person. And the fact that the truth is that it's just like Africa, the way Africa is, Africa cannot know a lot. Like, you know, there are some, no matter how enlightened, this is an example, no matter how enlightened Africans are, right, there are people also that will not know a lot about other people, right? And the fact that they expect like a lot of, or everybody in black, especially black Americans, to know everything about African Americans and all that, that is not how it works. Everybody must not be like you know everything about some cultures and all that, but there are people you call and you point out and they tell you like correctly how this is done and how the other one is done and the rest of it. So you ought to stop pointing all these fingers. You all come out to say that this, that African Americans and the rest of it. We all can do better. We already see what is going on all over the world, how they are trying so hard to separate us. So are we going to dance to their tune? I mean, to the people that are trying to separate us, because it looks like we are dancing to their tune, trying to divide ourselves when we are supposed to come together and fight as one. I mean, what's now the essence? Because I really don't get it. Okay, now let's take it this way. It's just like the way the media lied a lot about Africa is also the way the media, also the same way the media also lied to us about African Americans, because they told us they are this, they are that, they are that, and then told them that Africans are these poor, they have flies, they are not, you know, they said so many lies. Even some people are still going to ask you, do you people live on trees in Africa? Because of the things the media told them. Some people were also not able to make research or probably try to educate themselves and find out if this is true or not, right? So they already like, you know, sometimes the impression people, especially the media, give you or is what people take. They do not even bother making their research. It's just like the way all these years we thought Israel were the real good people and Palestinians were the bad people, not until everybody started relearning and the rest of it, right? So, I mean, we are just dancing to their tune. Like if we keep trying to point accusing fingers on one another. Now let's say this. What is going on in other communities? Let's say in Africa, it's just like I might go out. This is just an example. I might go out and at the same time get robbed in the same Africa or in Nigeria. Let's say in Nigeria or in Ghana, right? I might go out and get robbed off my phone and all that, right? And probably something like that will happen to you by a Black American or something, and then you start screaming you do not like. But do you say something like this, like, you know, just like when something happens to you in your own country, do you say that I do not like Nigerians because they stole your phone? And now you are pointing your finger, I do not like African Americans. You can say that my phone was taken away, you know, but you cannot generalize, because it's like putting everybody in a box and trying to generalize them. I don't know if anybody understands what I am saying, right? I think we have grown. We should learn or know better, because they know how powerful Black people are when they come together. So all they try as much as they can to do is to look for a way to, like, you know, to separate us. Now, for the white man or the colored man, I don't know, that said that the Somalians have never even identified themselves as Black people. So not until they are ready to say that they are Black people, then we can look into their matter. But I am not going to talk about the Somalians, because they keep telling us that they are not Black people, right? And that doesn't mean that whatever that happened, probably having a weed in the bag, and it is very sad that something like that happened. And I am not going to defend anybody for doing something like that. You know, the child was supposed to get his, but because of the criminal record, he couldn't get it and all that. I mean, another person or maybe his countryman might also do that to him. Right? So crime happened. That doesn't mean that it is not happening in other places, or what is happening in Black community or what is happening in African community is also not happening in other communities. It is also happening in other communities. But how we tackle it is what really matters. Coming out to say these ones have respect, the other ones do not have respect. See, we are better united than being divided. I mean, so it is better we get our shits together and know that we are one. The other one saying that we are not made of the same material and all that. When you look at yourself and you look at you are seeing extension of yourself. And it is really sad how people say maybe we are not just the same. And how are we not the same? We are just the same extension, you know, just like your cousins. Some will look alike, some will not look alike. Some will act like me, some will like my cousins or my sisters who all do not have the same character, right? We all are different, right? So there are some things you all say and you are not trying to come up rude and you come out so rude. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.